The moment I saw her lips pressed against someone else's, my world didn't just crack, it collapsed. It wasn't the kind of collapse you hear coming. No warning tremors, no distant rumble. Just one quiet, devastating second that erased 10 years of my life like they had never happened. And the worst part, she didn't even notice me standing there. The music was loud, too loud. A pulsing, suffocating bass that vibrated through the walls of Jason's house like a second heartbeat. People were laughing, glasses clinking, bodies brushing past each other in a blur of perfume and sweat. It was supposed to be a celebration. Jason had just gotten promoted, and this party was his way of showing off. I didn't even want to come. But she insisted. "Come on, it'll be fun," Emily had said earlier that evening, adjusting her earrings in the mirror. "We never go out anymore." She smiled at me then, soft, familiar, warm. The same smile that had convinced me to marry her. The same smile I thought I knew better than anything else in the world. I nodded, of course I did. Because when your wife of 8 years asks you to do something simple, something harmless, you don't expect it to end your life as you know it. I remember the drive over, the streetlights flickering across her face, the way she hummed along to the radio. Everything felt normal. God, I wish it had stayed that way. We got to the party around 9 p.m. Jason greeted us at the door, already half drunk, slapping me on the back like we hadn't just seen each other 2 days ago. "Finally, thought you guys bilayed on me," he laughed. Emily hugged him longer than necessary, but I didn't think anything of it. That was Emily, friendly, affectionate, easy to like. People were naturally drawn to her. I used to be proud of that. Inside, the house was packed. Too many people, too much noise. I grabbed a drink, something strong, hoping it would take the edge off my discomfort. Emily, on the other hand, thrived in it. Within minutes, she was laughing with a group near the kitchen, her hand lightly resting on someone's arm as she talked. I watched her from across the room, a faint smile on my face. That's my wife, I thought. I trusted her. Completely. And that's what makes betrayal so dangerous. It only works when you never see it coming. Hours passed. Or maybe it was minutes. Time felt strange that night, like it stretched and twisted without warning. I lost track of her at some point. Not unusual, parties were like that. You drift apart, mingle, reconnect later. I didn't worry. I should have. I checked my phone 11:47 p.m. I decided to look for her. It started casually, a quick glance around the living room, then the kitchen, then the backyard. No Emily. A small knot formed in my chest. Still, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she was upstairs. Maybe she ran into someone she hadn't seen in years. Maybe she just needed a quieter place to talk. Maybe. I headed toward the staircase. Each step felt heavier than the last, though I didn't know why. Some instinct deep buried was trying to warn me. But I ignored it. Because love makes you blind in the most inconvenient ways. The hallway upstairs was dimly lit, the noise from the party muffled now, like I had stepped into a different world. A quieter one. A more dangerous one. I walked past a few closed doors. Laughter seeped through one of them. Another was empty. Then I saw it. At the end of the hallway. A door slightly ajar. Light spilling through the crack. And movement. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe part of me already knew. Maybe part of me didn't want to know. But something pulled me forward anyway. Slowly. Silently. I reached the door. And I looked inside. That's when everything ended. Emily. My Emily. Pressed up against a man I had never seen before. Her hands were on his chest. His hands were on her waist. And their lips. God. Their lips were locked like they had done this 100 times before. Not hesitant. Not accidental. Not a mistake. It was deliberate. Intimate. Familiar. I couldn't breathe. My body froze like someone had unplugged me from reality. The sounds around me disappeared. The music, the laughter, the entire world outside that room, it all vanished. There was only that moment. That image. Burned into my mind. I waited for her to pull away. To realize. To look at me with shock, with guilt, with anything that might make this feel less intentional. But she didn't. She just kept going. Like I didn't exist. Like I had never existed. Something inside me shattered then. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, irreversible break. I stepped back. Carefully. Silently. The way you leave a place that no longer belongs to you. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. What was the point? You can't argue with something that clear. You can't fix something that broken. And you definitely can't compete with someone who has already replaced you in their heart. I walked downstairs. Each step felt numb. Disconnected. Like I was watching someone else live my life. Jason tried to stop me near the door. "Hey man, you leaving already?" he shouted over the music. I forced a small smile. "Yeah, not feeling great." He frowned but nodded. "All right, get home safe." Home. The word hit differently now. I stepped outside. The cold night air hit my face, sharp and unforgiving. It should have woken me up, should have snapped me back into reality. But nothing felt real anymore. I got into my car. Sat there for a moment. Hands on the steering wheel. Staring at nothing. Then I laughed. A quiet, broken laugh that didn't sound like it came from me. Because suddenly, everything made sense. All the late nights. The work stress. The way she had started guarding her phone. The distance. The subtle changes I had ignored because I trusted her. Because I loved her. Because I believed in us. God, I was stupid. I drove home in silence. No music. No thoughts. Just an empty road and a hollow feeling in my chest. When I got home, the house felt different. Colder. Like it already knew what had happened. I walked inside, turned on the light, and just stood there. This was our home. Our life. Our memories. And suddenly, it all felt fake. Like a set from a movie that had just wrapped production. I went upstairs. Opened the closet. Her clothes were still there. Her perfume lingered in the air. Everything looked the same. But nothing was. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, replaying that moment over and over again. Every detail. Every movement. Every second. Until it felt like it was happening again. And again. And again. I don't know what time she came home. I heard the door. Soft footsteps. The faint creak of the stairs. She was trying to be quiet. Like she didn't want to wake me. Like she didn't want to get caught. I almost laughed again. She opened the bedroom door slowly. Paused. Probably checking if I was asleep. I kept my back to her. Still. Silent. I felt the bed shift as she climbed in. Felt the space between us. It had never felt this wide before. She didn't touch me. Didn't say a word. Just lay there. Like everything was normal. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just destroyed everything we built. And in that moment, I realized something that hurt even more than what I saw. She wasn't just cheating. She was comfortable doing it. That was the real betrayal. Not the kiss. Not the man. But the ease of it. The normalcy. The complete absence of guilt. I stared into the darkness, my eyes burning but dry. And I made a decision. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to fight for someone who had already given herself away. No. I was going to wait. Because sometimes, the most devastating thing you can do is nothing at all. And the next morning, everything changed. Morning didn't come gently. It slammed into me. Harsh sunlight forced its way through the curtains, cutting across the room like a blade. I hadn't slept, not even for a second, but somehow the day had arrived anyway, dragging reality with it. For a moment, I forgot. That fragile, merciful second where your brain hasn't caught up yet. Then I turned my head. And there she was. Emily. Sleeping peacefully beside me. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't shattered me just hours ago. Her breathing was soft, steady, calm, one arm tucked under the pillow, the other resting near my side, but not touching me, not anymore. I stared at her, searching, looking for something, anything, that might tell me last night was a misunderstanding, a mistake, a drunken lapse in judgment. But all I saw was her. The same woman I married. The same face I had memorized over years of quiet mornings and late-night conversations. And yet, she felt like a stranger. I sat up slowly, careful not to wake her. Or maybe I wanted her to wake up. Maybe some part of me needed to see her reaction. To watch the guilt hit her face. To hear her try to explain something that couldn't be explained. But she didn't wake. She just turned slightly, exhaling softly, as if she were completely at peace. That hurt more than anything. I got out of bed and walked to the bathroom, closed the door behind me, locked it. Then I gripped the edge of the sink and looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't recognize the man staring back. My eyes were hollow. Red. Empty in a way I had never seen before. I splashed water on my face, hoping it would do something. Wake me up, reset me, fix something inside me. It didn't. Because this wasn't the kind of damage you could wash away. I stayed there for a long time. Just breathing. Trying to figure out what came next. Because that was the real question, wasn't it? What do you do after you catch your wife kissing another man, and she comes home like nothing happened? Do you confront her? Do you leave? Do you pretend? Do you destroy everything the way she just destroyed you? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. I needed to hear her say it. Not the lie. Not the excuse. The truth. I walked back into the bedroom. She was awake now. Sitting up in bed, scrolling through her phone. Of course she was. Her face lit up faintly from the screen. Calm, normal, unbothered. She glanced at me briefly. "Morning," she said. Just like that. Like this was any other day. I felt something twist inside my chest. "Morning," I replied. My voice sounded steady. Too steady. Like it didn't belong to me. She stretched slightly, setting her phone aside. "You left early last night," she said casually. "I looked for you." A lie. So effortless. So smooth. I nodded slowly. Yeah, wasn't feeling great. She frowned a little. "You okay now?" There it was. Concern. But it felt rehearsed. Surface level. Like she was playing a role. "I'm fine," I said. Silence settled between us. Heavy. Uncomfortable. At least for me. She didn't seem bothered by it. She got out of bed, walked past me, and headed toward the bathroom. Like everything was normal. Like we were normal. And that's when I realized something else. If I didn't say anything, she never would. She was fully prepared to bury it. To pretend. To lie. Forever if she had to. I turned around. Who was he? The words came out quietly. But they hit the room like a gunshot. She froze. Her hand still on the bathroom door. Her back to me. For a second, she didn't move. Didn't breathe. Didn't speak. Then slowly, she turned around. And I saw it. That flicker. That tiny crack in her expression. Surprise. Fear. Calculation. "How much did you see?" she asked. Not denial. Not confusion. Not even guilt. Just damage control. That hurt more than anything else. "All of it," I said. My voice didn't shake. I don't know how. But it didn't. She stared at me. Silent. Processing. Trying to figure out what to say next. What lie would work? What version of the truth would hurt her the least? "It wasn't what it looked like," she said finally. Of course. Of course it was. I almost smiled. "Then what was it?" I asked. She hesitated. "Too long." "It just happened," she said. "I had a few drinks and—" Stop. The word came out sharper than I expected. She flinched slightly. Good. Because I needed her to understand something. You don't accidentally kiss someone like that, I said. That wasn't a mistake. That wasn't random. She looked away. I didn't mean for you to see it, she muttered. And there it was. The truth. Not about the act, but about her priorities. She wasn't sorry she did it. She was sorry she got caught. A cold, hollow feeling settled in my chest. Who is he? I asked again. She crossed her arms. Defensive now. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. It shouldn't. I let out a slow breath. Are you sleeping with him? Silence. That was my answer. I nodded slowly. Okay. I turned away. Walked toward the closet. Started pulling out a duffel bag. What are you doing? She asked. Her voice changed now. Less controlled. More uncertain. I'm leaving, I said. Simple. Final. She laughed nervously. You're overreacting. That stopped me. I turned back to her. Overreacting, I repeated. It was just a kiss, she said quickly. You're acting like my wife cheated on me, I finished. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. I said I was sorry. No, she didn't. Not really. Not in a way that meant anything. You're not sorry, I said. You're just dealing with the consequences. Her jaw tightened. That's not fair. Neither is what you did. Silence again. Thicker this time. Heavier. Are you in love with him? I asked. The question hung in the air between us. Sharp. Dangerous. She didn't answer. Didn't have to. Because sometimes, silence is the loudest answer of all. I zipped up the bag. My hands felt steady. Strangely steady. Like I had already processed everything. Like the damage had already been done. Where are you going? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly. And I didn't. Because when your life falls apart overnight, there's no plan. No roadmap. Just distance. I think we should talk about this, she said. I looked at her. Really looked at her. At the woman I thought I knew. At the person who just destroyed everything we had. We are talking, I said. You're just not saying anything that matters. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Looked frustrated. Cornered. Good. Because for once, she didn't have control. I didn't think you'd leave, she said quietly. That hit me. Not because it hurt, but because it revealed something. She never thought I would choose myself. She thought I'd stay. Forgive. Accept it. Live with it. That was her biggest mistake. I didn't think you'd do this, I replied. We stood there. Two people. In a room full of memories. With nothing left between us but truth. And even that was broken. I picked up the bag. Walked past her. She didn't stop me. Didn't grab my arm. Didn't beg. She just stood there. Watching. And that told me everything I needed to know. I walked out of the house. Closed the door behind me. And just like that, 8 years were over. Or at least, that's what I thought. Because I had no idea what was about to come next. The first night alone felt like falling without ever hitting the ground. No noise. No comfort. No distraction. Just me and the echo of everything I had lost. I checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town, the kind of place you don't ask questions about, the kind of place people go when they don't want to be found or don't care if they are. The room smelled faintly of cigarettes and old carpet. The bed creaked when I sat down. The TV flickered when I turned it on, but I muted it almost immediately. Silence felt more honest. I sat there for hours. Bag still unpacked. Shoes still on. Just staring at the wall like maybe it would explain something. It didn't. Nothing did. Because there's no logic to betrayal. No clean explanation. No satisfying answer that makes it easier to accept. There's just the moment and the aftermath. And the aftermath is where people break. But something strange was happening to me. I wasn't breaking. Not the way I expected. There were no tears. No screaming. No desperate urge to call her, to fix things, to beg for answers. Just clarity. Cold. Sharp. Unforgiving clarity. And it came with a realization that hit harder than anything else. This didn't start last night. That kiss. That wasn't the beginning. It was just the first time I saw it. Which meant everything before it was a lie. The late nights. The emotional distance. The way she slowly stopped looking at me the same way. I had felt it. Ignored it. Explained it away. Because love makes you protect the illusion, even when it's killing you. I leaned back against the wall and closed my eyes. And for the first time, I allowed myself to feel it. Not the anger. Not yet. But the loss. 8 years. 8 years of memories, routines, inside jokes, plans for the future. Gone. Not slowly. Not gently. Just erased. Like it never mattered. And maybe, to her, it didn't. That thought should have destroyed me. But instead, it freed me. Because if it didn't matter to her, then I didn't owe it anything anymore. Not my pain. Not my time. Not my forgiveness. Nothing. I opened my eyes, reached for my phone, and turned it on. Missed calls. Texts. All from her. Can we talk? I didn't mean for this to happen. Please don't do this. I'm sorry. I love you. I stared at that last message longer than the others. I love you. Funny how those 3 words can feel so empty when they come from someone who just proved they don't understand them. I didn't reply. I didn't block her either. I just let it sit. Because silence was louder than anything I could say. Hours passed. Then my phone rang again. But this time, it wasn't her. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. But something told me to answer. So I did. Hello. There was a pause. Then a voice. Male. Calm. Measured. You don't know me, he said. I frowned slightly. Who is this? Another pause. Then, my name is Daniel. The name meant nothing to me. At least not yet. I think we need to talk, he continued. Something in his tone shifted everything. Not aggressive. Not nervous. Just certain. About what? I asked. A breath on the other end. Then, about your wife's. And just like that, the ground finally hit me. Hard. What about her? I asked slowly. Silence. Then, I've been seeing Emily. The words landed heavy, but not in the way I expected. No shock. No disbelief. Just confirmation of everything I already knew. How long? I asked. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. Half a year of lies. Half a year of betrayal. Half a year of me sitting across from her at dinner while she belonged to someone else. I closed my eyes briefly. Took a slow breath. Why are you calling me? I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. Because I didn't know about you. That got my attention. My eyes opened. What? I found out last night, he said, after you left. My grip tightened on the phone. She told me everything this morning, he continued. That you're her husband, that she's been lying to both of us. I sat up straighter. Something was shifting. Something I hadn't expected. And, I asked. And I don't like being lied to, he said simply. Neither do I. The thought crossed my mind instantly. I ended it, he added. That surprised me. You just ended it. Yes. No hesitation. No conflict. Just done. A strange silence settled between us. 2 strangers. Connected by the same betrayal. I thought you should know the truth, he said. I let out a quiet breath. The truth is, she made it easy, he continued. She told me you were distant, that your marriage was basically over. I almost laughed. Of course she did. They always do that, I muttered. Yeah, he agreed. Another pause. Then, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I believed him. And that was the strange part. Because in that moment, the man who kissed my wife felt more honest than the woman I married. Yeah, I said quietly, me too. We didn't say much after that. There wasn't much left to say. We ended the call, and I just sat there, phone in my hand, staring at nothing again. But this time, something was different. The confusion was gone. The doubt, the maybe it wasn't what it looked like. All of it, gone, replaced by something else. Something solid. Something final. Closure. Not the kind she would give me. The kind I took for myself. I stood up, walked to the mirror, looked at myself again. And for the first time since last night, I recognized the man staring back. Not because he looked the same, but because he had changed. There was no hesitation in his eyes anymore. No uncertainty. Just understanding. She didn't make a mistake. She made a choice. Every day. For 6 months. And now, I was making mine. I grabbed my phone, opened her messages again, scrolled to the bottom, and finally, I replied. Not with anger. Not with insults. Not with questions. Just one sentence. I know everything. I stared at it for a second. Then hit send. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. I didn't wait to read it. I didn't need to. Because whatever she said next didn't matter anymore. I put the phone down, picked up my bag, and walked out of that motel room. The sun was setting. The sky painted in shades of orange and red. It should have felt like an ending. But it didn't. It felt like something else. A beginning. Because sometimes, the worst moment of your life is the one that finally sets you free. And as I got into my car, for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about me. And that was everything.